This is Barbara Berry from Macon, Georgia. I'm the Vice President of the Georgia Poetry Society. And this is January the 18th, and we are so thrilled to welcome those who have joined us tonight for our open mic session. We have these every month. They'll be held on the third Thursday, so we look forward to as many people joining us as possible. We just ask that you have your poems ready, that they're too long, they're short to medium, and come join us. It's a lot of fun, whether it's 2, 3, 15, or 30. We have a lot of fun, so come join us. Joining us tonight is Angela Edgar. She is from Jefferson, Georgia. And we have Ellen, how do you pronounce it, Ellen? Adelphina?
Delphiner, yeah.
Delphina, Sandy Springs.
Mhm.
And so, Angela, you were the first one to sign up tonight. Would you like to start reading your first poem tonight?
All right, I sure will. My poem is titled "The Last Tear."
All right, go ahead.
A young boy of 12, already in the fields, lean and tall. The sun whipped his small amount of native ancestry through his veins and into his skin, coloring it a perfect autumn brown. A stranger to danger and with no knowledge of fear, yet he fell to his knees sobbing as he saw his sisters coming near. The girls had been told by their father not to go into the fields, not to ever disturb the boys until the harvest was cleared. Their gaits were so awkward and their faces smeared with struggle. He knew of only one thing that would take them from their mother's side. Only one thing would take them from the delivery that had begun in the night. Death had brought them into the fields. The
Wow.
end. It's my
The
grandfather's mother died in childbirth, and he was in the fields, and his sisters came to tell him, and that was a poem sort of about that.
so she died in the fields giving childbirth.
No, she died back at home. They had all left to go, and they left the daughters were with her, and the brothers, the sons were in the field. They had 12 children.
Oh,
Back then. This was my grandfather's life. And I'd always, when I was a little girl, heard the stories, and I just had it in my mind. I was entering a contest about heritage of, things that happened in life that you can put into a poem. So,
we enjoyed that. Get ready for your next one after Ellen and I read.
Sorry.
Hey, Ellen, are you ready?
Well, I wrote this recently, and it hasn't had any, I don't know. Sometimes I revise as I go along, but this has never been formally revised. But it's kind of a downer. I'm sorry.
Hey, well, I'll lift y'all up after this one, okay?
Okay, it's called Loss.
Loss.
Oh gosh, I have to take a phone call. Can I go afterwards?
Yes.
Let me go afterwards. I have to take this call.
Okay.
Okay.
Ellen, you want to read another one then while we're waiting for her?
Can anyone hear me?
Here we got somebody new with us.
Yeah.
Who do we have? William. Okay. Hello, William.
Yes, how you doing?
I'm fine. You're just in time to read. Let me put your name down. You are William
Cameron, Cammon. But my stage name is something else. So
well, you can share that if you want to, or whatever. And where are you from?
I'm from Decatur, Georgia.
Okay, well, it's your time to read if you're ready.
Sure. I think I'll read something that was published a long time ago. I did an ode to Miles Davis called "Horn Man of Mine, Miles is Dead." Epileptic notes surrendering to the bleeding colors of the streams of rhythms running into muddy blues. O maker of bebop, invading into the seasons of the soul of creation for the horn man. Melodious tears of dignity rising, harmonious pain of nobility surviving. Miles is dead. Then, like the rebellious lust of autumn on its way to winter's frozen palaces, that finite dwelling of breath to flow from the sweetness and the bitter, flowing from African centuries old, unharnessed, unblemished by the European plague, flowing from the surreal cadence of the music of the horn man, flowing from the center of the sun, dripping like melted gold on the reality of life. Miles is dead. At a time when the thrill of urban laughter did hold its bosom with gentle care for my elite soul, some savage urban refuge I did traverse to claw at innocence that once sinned. I did let the horn man press the cross-eyed vision of my being with rapturous, fleeting, joyous cries, carrying the grit and bloom of my sanity to universal extremes. Adoring lavender soul notes jumping from manicured hillsides, fading from a furious F minors in search of a curious C sharp. Eternity claims Miles' soul, but we, the blessed ones, we have his little fiery lights of essence that tiptoe through urban blues. Miles is dead. Modest applause restraining the persistent defiance of boiling heartbeats. Red wine rhythms shatter the golden twinkling notes sprinkled on unaltered titles of the blues.
Wow.
Well, I'm not through. I got one more and I'll be through.
No, we're gonna rotate. We're gonna go one right after the other. So hold
No,
on.
I'm sorry. I have one more verse.
Oh, one more verse. Excuse me. I'm so sorry.
That's okay. My African brain was drumming thunder, my booty twitching and switching to chocolate dressed harmonies, chased by lightning bolt melodies. All my liars, all my whores, all my lovers, all my sanctified spirit selves from within, celebrate and sail with me across this bebop blues sea.
Bebop Blue Seas. We all
Right.
know that Bebop Blue Seas, don't we? Come on, girls. We know that. Now listen, I think we better establish something. I'm sorry that I cut you off, William. So you just taught me something. Everyone's going to say the end when they finish reading, because sometimes the way you close and your voice changes, the cadence changes. I think you've reached the end. So I don't make that mistake again. We're going to say the end. Y'all agree to that one? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Let me see. Since then we've had Catherine. Welcome, honey. It's good to see you again.
Yes, yes. Well, and just when I was here in December, I had fallen in our garage that morning. And by the time our open mic finished, I could not write, could not hold a pen in my right hand, and ended up going to urgent care the next morning. I am now sporting my handy dandy thumb brace for what turned out to be severe arthritis, but there was a possible break. But yeah, I mean, so
Okay, now she is setting a good example. For as bad as she was feeling, she came and supported the Georgia Poetry Society by being with our open mic. So let's give a thumbs up to her willingness to join us that night. I hope all of us will have that. Are you ready to read? And let me see,
yes,
we've had Elizabeth Johns join since then. Elizabeth, have you been here before?
There. No, ma'am. This is my first time.
Well, where are you from, Elizabeth?
I'm from Stockbridge.
Stockbridge, okay. And Catherine, I forgot where you were from, honey.
I'm from near Asheville, North Carolina, but I used to live Atlanta.
Okay, well, you are all welcome. Okay, so Catherine, you're going to go, and after that, Catherine, I would like for Elizabeth to read. Okay?
All right. Mine is called A Movable Feast. Hunger is healthy. Ernest Hemingway. Beach wrack, tumbled in waves, lies thrown up on the shore. A melange of seagrasses, algae, reeds delivered at high tide, a sit-down dinner or food truck fare. Shirts and shoes not required. A seafood buffet served al fresco on a baking sheet of sand. Tiny diners hovering in moonlight. Sandhoppers spring to the table. A vegetarian meal pinched in claws. Sea lettuce shredded, stuffed in mouths. Crabs stroll sideways over matted clumps. Clamp on organic cuisine worthy of a Parisian restaurant. The memory simmers in our minds. Travelers savoring the rising sea, always hungering for seconds. The end. Oh.
Thank you,
There
lady.
we
No
go.
pressure, no pressure.
Okay, I, I liked what I think I heard you say that, shirt and shoes not required. Well, that'll go good for William, but I don't think we girls can go on that one, right?
No, we cannot.
And I like the way you said memories simmer. They really do, don't they? They do come, sometimes they come to a boil. Do you agree?
Yes.
That was lovely. Okay. Elizabeth, are you ready? What are you going to read for us tonight?
Yes, ma'am. I'm going to read a poem out of the book I just published.
Oh, hold it. You got it with you?
Yes, ma'am.
Hold it
It's
up.
called-
Let us see. Okay, that's a picture of figures. It looks like they're falling and
Yeah.
dreams.
5 dreams. 5 dreams.
Well, congratulations on
Thank you
getting
so
Yeah.
much.
published. So you've got to come back every month now and read something for us, okay?
Well,
Well-
let me turn up the volume just a little bit. I can hardly hear. Okay. So this first poem I'm going to read is called Sightless. It
Sight-
is based on a quote by Helen Keller, who used to say, or who was quoted as saying, "It's a terrible thing for a man to be able to see and have no vision."
Oh, wow.
Okay, so this poem is, this poem is called Sightless. Once when my eyes were lost to me, I saw as only the blind can see. I envisioned a life of roses and thorns, of song and sermon, right and wrong. And in my forever darkest night, I saw my world in glorious flight. And with eyes that saw it all, saw that I flew and did not fall, that in my blindness I was free, released, unbound, in ecstasy. I lived a life that I could not see. When he with sight remarked my truth, acknowledged that it was absolute, he saw his life devoid of use, of love or passion or life's abuse. Into his corner he so crept, bowed his head and softly wept. The end.
Bowed his head and softly wept.
Who published your book?
Love it.
Yes. Thank you.
She asked, I think you asked who published the book?
Yeah.
Oh, it's I self-published it, but I used a service that was wonderful. They're called Telltale Poetry, and they specialize in helping poets publish their work. It's kind of like a boutique service, but it was great. They were wonderful.
What is it called? What is it called again?
The service is called Telltale Poetry.
Telltale,
Did you want me
T-E-L.
to put it in the chat? I can put it in. Is there a chat?
Yes, I don't know how it works, but you're
Yeah,
free.
I don't know how to do chat either.
Oh, listen, I'm so glad I'm not alone. We're going to help each other.
Well, is it T-E-L-T-E-L or T-E-L-L or T-E-L?
I'm typing it in the chat window. Telltale Poetry.
Telltale
Poetry. Okay.
Are you a member, and William, are you a member of the Georgia Poetry
Yeah,
Society?
yes, I am. Yes, I am.
Did you
Yes, I
get
think
did you get your dues paid before the January the 31st? I mean,
Uh,
December
yes,
31st?
ma'am. I think I did.
Okay, well, you will be able to have one of your poems published in our Reach a Song anthology.
Oh,
Did you
okay.
know
That's
that
great.
also, Elizabeth?
I have to double check. I think I did, but I'm not sure.
Okay, well, keep checking your emails for everything that's going on. I think it's my turn to read. Who was it? She just left. Ellen said she had to leave and she had something that was a little sad, and I said it's going to be my happy.
Oh,
All right. Okay.
This
Well-
is taken from Job, the 14th chapter. Job asked God, if a man dies, can he live again? And the scripture said, you will call and I will answer, because you will have a longing for the works of your own hands. So God is going to call because he wants the works of his hands again. So this is called sleep until God calls. Thought began to dawn on me. What kind of name was God made? Pray one that made his heart rejoice before in death I'm laid. When I'm dead, I'll just be sleeping, exactly as Christ said. That's when my thoughts and memories cease. Still my name, God will know. You're familiar with truth Christ spoke, condition of the dead. We'll sleep in death until God calls. Then answer him, Job said. So that's my thought on that.
Mm.
I think we are ready to start over again. I'm looking at my notes. Angela, I believe it is your turn to read again.
Okay. I sat here thinking which one. Mine is titled A Powerful Day. I was introduced with a handshake, recognized by a wave. I learned a lesson in patience, shared laughs with a friend. I met someone less fortunate. He spoke of his fortune and counted his blessings to me. I was held by my husband, hugged by a child, dined with a rival. We parted with a smile. Things were not done that I had wished to do. When I woke that morning, the tasks were all planned. But a powerful day is better left to God and unmanned. The end.
Oh, very good. I forgot to say the end.
Okay.
I like that when you talked about the one less fortunate, the
Yeah.
counting his blessings.
Mm-hmm.
That's
It was.
a powerful thought you're sharing with us, Angela.
This was I written a long time ago, and I had written down where I got every word. Let's see. I mean, every what would you call feeling?
Yes.
What it was I had been to Lowe's that day, and the guy who, I don't remember this, but I'm glad I wrote it down. The guy who helped me had only one eye, but he spoke of his fortune. He looked right at me and said how fortunate he was to have this job and of measuring. He used it to install carpet. He used to install carpet. So it was just somebody I'd met that was telling me how fortunate he was to have that job, but he only had one eye.
And that's the kind of attitude we should be, to count our blessings, no matter, what condition we're in. We have more to be thankful for than we have to cry over or shed a.
Right. And when I said I dined with a rival and we parted as friends, I had a teenage son at the time, and I'd met him for dinner because we had a problem going on. So,
And he was your temporary rival.
yeah, but it's neat that you freeze that. I mean, that's been 25 years ago, but it's frozen in this poem.
Okay, now my elevator's not going to the floor. Which poet just said about the memory sizzling? Was that
Was-
you? That was you, Catherine. So you can see that's what Angela's referring to also.
Memory simmers in our minds.
Right, you had said that. And you agree, Angela, right?
All right. Yes.
Okay, are we around again, William? I think to you this time, because Ellen hasn't come back yet, has she?
Here
No.
I am. Yeah, I'm here.
That was her. Yeah.
Oh, you're here. Okay, Ellen, it's ready for your time, honey.
Okay. Okay, I wrote this very recently. Loss, a friend. A masterful stroke took arm and leg, rewired her brain, speech now a muddle. Daughter says she closed her eyes, feigned sleep when the therapist came. Now it's too late, she'll never walk. Sent to sunrise to rage and rot, she cries, "Get me out of here, take me with you," she begged when I visited. One of my two closest friends, I mourn her decline. This friend with whom I spoke every day, solved the world's problems and our own. This artist whose painting showed such skill, this woman once so articulate. I feel like a tree, a limb cut off, the sudden chop of viable life. A downer. I told you it was a downer.
Oh,
No, it's not. And listen, I made the mistake of cutting off William when he was reading and then I forgot. So what we're going to do is say the end afterwards, Ellen. You know what I'm hearing tonight, ladies and gentlemen? These are nice submissions you might think of for the Reach of Song. So as you're selecting your poems for our open mic, consider which ones, you have till the end of January the 31st.
oh, it's coming up.
Yeah, it's right around the corner. And my vice president's letter says, hurry, hurry, hurry. So keep that in mind tonight as you're reading. Okay, Catherine, I think it's your turn. No, William is next. William's next, okay?
Okay, I usually perform these pieces. I'm sort of a poetic dramatist, so I don't, normally I don't read them. So my reading voice is not that good.
Short or is it long? We want short to medium. How is it?
It's let me
So
see.
everyone will get a chance to
It's
read.
it's about the same length as the other one.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. I'm gonna this is a futuristic fantasy, this piece. So what it's supposed to do is transform you into that particular space and time. Scenes from the magnificent metropolis. Crystal stains of human tears awaken the violet death of walk of spiritual rains, clinging to a seducing concrete maze on metropolis dreams and metropolis fears. Daring neon tentacle beams scatter mercifully through glittering electric trees that seek a reflective destiny in the soul of gutters. Grotesque vanities of little minds and little men with their shining designs are forged into the dangling giant steel wishing wheels that are turned with the righteousness of the hopeless. Thus, these tall, charred, gray, icicle cathedrals bring intimate penetration to a superficial sky, while warming the roaring hunger of the bellies of the in-between destinies of the in-between people. Oracles prostrated their anemic optimism before the gleaming toes of obscurity and confessed their ignorance of obscurity, and they said, these steel gutters did kiss every private joy of a youthful urban shadow, chanting and praying to the whispers of sparkling lights. Do I really know you, my metropolis? Do I really love you, my magnificent metropolis? Silicon streets, let the blood of the many run like charted rivers into the bleeding riverbeds of the inner intellect, sounding that swift turning cliche. Good morning, my brother, accepted from the heart of the magnificent metropolis. Upon the horizon, dark-suited constables with their will of discreet judgment come marching with their two-dimensional faces and velvet batons, goose-stepping to the cadence of the oppressed, always turning from their path of subjugation to a secure destiny toward the temple of flames, with its rusted hinges and giant golden doors leading into the hall of repentance. Artisans and their crimson secrets bless the dancing of buffoons on floating mobilized bubbles from which one could steal a crystal view of a futuristic satire in the wading pond of the magnificent metropolis. A roving sea of derelicts escape from moment to moment down into the hypnotic sirens of an imagination sterilized, to sip a taste of reality, to slip into surrealistic bones, into the oblivious pathos of inhumanity. Disco whores with long legs go running into plastic places full of cubic boxes where pregnant dreams lying on beds with wings are full of the smell of the poisoned laughter of the iridescent people. Harden and hasten the golden oracle of utopian nightmares. This is not a dream. This is not a dream. awaken every molecule of mental man, insistent upon a piece of green heaven. Arrest the vanity queen from her lair and lay bare the true whore in us all, in the sound of, in the nearness of, in the smell of, in the touch of, in the illusion of the magnificent metropolis. The end.
The illusion of,
Wow.
yes. You know, I picked up a couple of phrases. The grotesque vanity, you said, and vanity is grotesque. We don't ever want to be vain. And there was something else you said about the something judgment, and I was wondering who would be judged. We won't be able to have, let me just mention this, we won't be able to have poems that long in the reach of song because it's open to the members. So that's one thing to keep in mind when you send in your submissions.
All right.
But that was very nice. You have a lot to say.
Barbara, Barbara,
Yes,
is there a line limit for the poems? In the past, there has been.
that's something we're going to discuss. And what is it? Usually 18. What is it? We'll just we'll send out something on that.
Something like that.
Yes, yes.
How many do we send in? One or two? Or
One, if you got your entry in before December, it's in the new. It's in one of the emails that was sent out.
I don't know that I saw it.
no, I didn't know anything about it. No.
I'll go get my notes. I think. Okay, here's what you can do. If you sent in your full payment by December the 31st, you could send in 3 poems, but you're
Okay.
only guaranteed 1. You know, and this, but William, I know you're giggling, but let me tell you, before you only were in the reach of songs if you had won contest or your poems were selected.
Right.
But this time, this is the year that we're calling Celebrating You Members. And you are what helps us keep the Georgia Poetry Society viable and interesting. And so the board's gift to the members this year who paid up at the end of the year was the opportunity to have an editor as a committee select 1 poem for guaranteed published, and then they will decide if there will be 2 that you might have accepted. But it's our gift to let all the members have an opportunity to be published in the reach of song, all members, if they met the deadline. So your deadline was December the 31st. Please, your deadline for sending in is January the 31st. So hurry, 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 and pick out those and send them in. Okay, and so the future emails will say more. And if you're at the quarterly meeting in January, you'll get more. Yes, Angela, what would you like to say?
Wasn't me.
Oh, okay, I thought you turned green. Okay, okay, go ahead.
I was out of town and came down with COVID on the 30th of December. And when I got back home earlier this month, I went ahead and sent in. So I totally missed the deadline. I didn't realize that they were even doing.
Okay, well, we'll present that to the board.
So,
And because we want to be reasonable, you know, friends, we want to be reasonable. This is a community of friends and poets. And so we want to be, and listen, let me tell you something, Catherine. You've been supporting me here on, you know, the mic. So we appreciate that. Okay, let me see. Is it, okay, I'm turned, let's see. Elizabeth, is it your turn? Let's see. Yes. No, Catherine, you were 4th. You come after William.
it's called Another Voyage, and my husband's the inspiration for it. And I'm introducing the poem with a quote from Marcel Proust. Another voyage. The real voyage of discovery consists not in seeking new landscapes, but in having new eyes. Marcel Proust. Unfolding the roadmap, you announce a chosen alternate route, as many times before. Why travel the same road twice? A mantra for one who would have sailed high seas. Your fingertips follow thin lines curving over patches of green, national forests, not unknown territory. Scenic highways. Suitcase open, only a toothbrush, toothpaste, underwear, Beekner's The Sacred Journey, corduroy slippers tossed in. Folding the roadmap, your rough hands smooth worn creases. Reality, clad in faded black high tops, collides with new eyes. You sail at dawn. The end.
I think you chose a very nice quote to start that off, not new landscapes, but new eyes. Here we had one poem where the person had one eye and yet he had more appreciation. And now you're talking about having new eyes to appreciate what we do see. And I am happy to welcome Ellen back. I'm glad you're back, Ellen.
Okay.
How are you? You ready to read?
Yeah, all right. This time I will read a lighter poem, not a downer. It's called On Lateness. I hang up the phone, check the time, sort the wash, stuff the whites into the machine. Half an hour left to meet my friend 10 minutes away. My aunt's words repeat like a broken record in my head. Lateness shows a lack, no regard for self or others. Sweat forms its scarlet L on my forehead. I water the plants, run upstairs, have-tos reeling in my head. Have to make sure the stove's not on, the cat has milk, the wash is done. I check the clock. Time to take a shower, defrost the meat, close the windows. I think of Grandpa tapping his heels, always 12 minutes early wherever he went as I reached for the towel.
Is that the end? Yeah,
That's
Ellen.
yeah.
Ellen, I cut William also now. We're supposed to say the end. I enjoy
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
and I like that. I think we could step into your shoes on everything you said in that poem. I think it
I love it.
it applied to me. Very, very good. Very good.
Trying to conquer that bad habit.
Yep. Okay. After Catherine, let's see. And then we had Ellen. And am I right, Elizabeth? It's your turn now.
Yes, ma'am.
Barbara, I
Yes.
just want to say to Ellen, I loved your always arriving always 12 minutes early wherever he went. You reminded me so much with that part there about my dad, who at age 95, 97 had to arrive somewhere early at the doctor's office because, maybe they can get me in early. So instead, wait the 45 minutes to an hour for his scheduled appointment. But that just cracked me up. I really like that.
Well, when I was young and I was still living at home with my parents, my father used to get kind of frustrated sometimes until I got ready to go, And he used to say, my daughter has no concept of time or money.
And I like you said something about that relating to God also, about not showing respect. I think it's something she said when you arrive, and it's true, even whenever we arrive late, when we could have arrived early, it is showing a disrespect for the people who got there early, but I'm glad you arrived. I don't care when you get here, just keep coming back, okay? And please comment on anyone's poem after they've read it if you like. I think we can get more of a community between us when I'm not good enough to critique someone's poetry. But if you feel like you do and you want to, I would really like someone to say something about mine if y'all feel that way too. Raise your hand if you want to critique.
The only difficulty in critiquing poetry, critiquing each other when we are in Zoom like this is that we don't have a copy of the poem to look at.
Right.
Because, then you kind of are able to keep looking at the lines and picking things out that are either, could use some enhancement or, like, because when someone reads it at the end already, you don't remember an image that they used or what punctuation or whatever. So that makes it difficult.
A little difficult, but
I
I
would
think,
really
yeah.
love to have critique. I mean, the groups that I belonged to in the past, we did critiquing, and it was so good. It really was.
And you're,
Mhm.
you're a member of poetry of our group, of our poetry society, right?
No, I have not. I am not a member. Where? Tell me before we part. Could you tell me like where to send the dues and um?
The Georgia Poetry Society website will have all of that. And you might be the person that could lead a little critique group for us. We want you to volunteer. Elizabeth, there's something that you do that you like, that you would like to do a little workshop on or get a little group together. I mean, whatever anybody wants to do, we are open to including you.
Okay. I don't know. I was just here to see, and I'll go from there.
Okay. Before the next person reads, we've just had Bonnie join us. Bonnie, where are you from? What do you
I'm
get
from
so cute?
I'm from Brunswick, Georgia, and I'm late because I just lost track of time. But I do have to say, I've been doing laundry all day, and it's still in the washer and dryer. I just can't get done with the cleaning. Um,
You are
and
so cute.
so
You
but,
listen, Ellen, did you just hear Ellen read about putting her whites in the
I did, and I totally related to that. And as far as critique goes, yes, it's hard to listen and not have it
Right.
to see the poems in front of me written. But I do have to say that I really loved her half dues reeling in my head. I thought that was a great line, those half dues. And so, like I reacted uh, to that.
And that's what we want poetry to do, friends, is to make people react. If we have just a deadpan face after someone reads, what have we accomplished? So I love that some of the poems are uplifting, some of them expressing life in its reality. And we want the realities of life. Well, Bonnie, we look forward. We are glad you're here, and and you're from around the Brunswick area, you said. Well,
Yes, Brunswick, Georgia.
okay. Yes, your turn. And you can say we decided to say the end at the end of our poetry.
Oh, the end. Sorry.
Hey, I said that. That's okay. I said it, and then I'm the one who forgot to do it, Ellen. So,
That's
oh,
like when we play Rummy Cube. You're supposed to say pass, and everybody says pass, and you're sitting there waiting.
we've got a good group on tonight. Hey,
Mhm.
William, are you hanging in here with us ladies tonight?
I'm hanging by my fingernails. Yes, I'm here.
Well, we're glad to have you
But
too.
but unfortunately, my wife is calling me to dinner, and she gets a little upset if I if I
Oh,
don't come.
William, you tell her that we're all upset that she didn't call us to dinner too.
I'll be sure to mention that. So
Please, please come back, William. We'd love to
I
have you.
I
in
will.
Florida.
Thank you very much. I really enjoyed myself, and I appreciate you all putting up with me. You have
Oh,
a
well, we
wonderful
appreciate
evening.
it. Thank you.
All right. Bye bye.
Okay, Bonnie, it's your turn.
Um, this is a poem called After the Rain. Watery debris, swimming muck, everything once standing, broken. There is no running, no outracing, this familiar violence. The fullness of its rough, disfiguring potential can never be known. All she can do is pray. The words, once pressed, beaded into her palms, now hollow, in the midst of weightless memorization. They float to the surface, ride this one beside her. When there are lulls and flashes of silence, she continues the quiet beg, the remnants of the ancients. Let me go, let me be, suffer me no more. After the rain, rain upon rain. The end.
Whew.
Another sad one.
Weightless memories. I can't even say the word. Weightless memory. Weightless memories.
Weightless memorization.
Yes. They didn't seem weightless to me. They said that, but that was beautiful. That was beautiful.
Thank you.
Okay, I think it's my turn. I'm almost getting lost here tonight.
Actually, I didn't take my second turn.
Oh, okay. Thank you for stepping
Go,
up.
Elizabeth.
Yes, I'm sorry, Elizabeth. Raise
No
your hand,
worries.
wave at me next time.
Yeah, no worries. This one is not as serious. And it's called A Train, a Circus, and a Flight of Fancy. And it was written for a contest. And it was written based on a prompt, and the prompt said, you wake up on a train. You just wake up on a train. Where are you going? What's happening? So that was the prompt for this poem.
Oh, very
All
good.
right. All right. From deepest slumber, once I woke upon a train of ancient oak. 'Twas strange to find myself on board. This odd event struck awkward chord, with location unascertained, with strange voyage unexplained. I did remark with my own eyes, cargo of grand scope and size, a king who sat upon a throne, who wished that I might try a scone, a maiden who contorted self, an impish boy who seemed an elf. Upon a wire a man did walk, and still another who seemed a hawk, with pointed nose and beady eyes, no other words his look describes. A gypsy peered a crystal ball, foretold future of one and all. A strong man raised a heavy weight, plates of sweets a fat man ate, and still my senses took in more, the scent of popcorn and chocolate s'mores, the roar of lions and greater beasts, elephants that cried and screeched. A barker pitched delights of tent, with coins of bills crowds gave consent. And here I stood amongst it all, upon this train so much enthralled. From deepest slumber again I woke, upon a train of ancient oak. My love was seated by my side, and with a twinkle in his eye, he murmured his soft words to me. 'Twas just a dream, go back to sleep.
Oh,
The end.
Love it.
you enthralled us. You were enthralled with all you saw, and we were enthralled with all we heard.
Thank you.
And the description of the man with the like a hawk with his beady nose.
Yes.
I mean, we could see every word you said. Do y'all agree, ladies?
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I was trying to create a dream, like, when you're dreaming, all the crazy things you see in a dream.
Exactly.
Mm.
Very
Well,
well.
and
Very
I
well.
like the fact that you repeated the line upon a train of ancient oak,
Mm-hmm.
um, because I almost got the image of, yes, the train, but then this dream of just flying through a tree. I mean, it's all there. So that line really took me and made me think.
Right.
Down into the train, up into the tree, because we can ride a tree in our
Absolutely.
dreams.
I know in my head, in my mind, it was just an old wooden train car, like from the 30s that they used to hop on, and that was my thought. And then it just sounded good. I just like the way it sounded, ancient oak. So
Oh,
Was
it's
did you
perfect.
yeah.
make a placement on that?
I'm sorry.
You edited in a contest. Did you place at all?
Yeah, it was a long online community. I think I won that day. I'm pretty sure I did. But it was a long time ago. This poem must be at least 8 years old or so, something like that.
Yeah.
Elizabeth.
Good for you.
What I
Thank
liked
you.
about it, Elizabeth, was that you really described senses. So it was very visual. I think for anybody who's been to a circus, seen a circus, you know, on a TV show or something, a movie, you had the strongman, you had, I think you mentioned trapeze. There were all these things that brought back memories of, oh God, yeah, there was that person and that person, that performer. And then the scents that you talked about, was it cotton candy, popcorn, something
Chocolate s'mores
Chocolate s'mores.
that, but the
and popcorn, the scent of popcorn.
yeah, the smells and then the noises, the sounds, the roars, but just all the noises. So
Mhm.
now we didn't have words in front of us. I felt like you put me there,
Oh,
that I
thanks.
could see it, I could hear it, and gosh, that popcorn, even though I've had my dinner, it was like, where's the popcorn? Pass it, please. So,
Right.
really great.
Thank you.
Angela, did you start to say something too?
Oh, I just thought I was going to ask if she had won that day because it was very award-winning poem.
Thank you very much. Yeah, yeah, it's just little tiny online communities. It's like a daily contest that they have.
Uh-huh.
And I just caught that rhythm about the ancient oak and I just went with it. But yeah, I think so. It was so long ago. You
And I
know, you
love
just get
it.
like sight currency and little sight.
Yeah. Well, it was awesome, especially like she said, the senses. The man that eats so much, but the guy's lifting the weight of what he eats.
Right.
I could just vision it. I could just see it.
Thank you.
Envision it.
That's
I
what I
could say
said
one more.
earlier. We could see
If I can
every, and the screeching elephants.
Right.
Mhm.
Well, Elizabeth, you listen to me, girlfriend. Reach over and pat yourself on the shoulder. You did
I sure will.
you place. Come on, let us see you pat yourself on the shoulder. There you go.
Thank you.
We want to support everybody, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think
And if I
my-
can say one more thing,
Of course.
interesting, circuses are different now because we're losing the animals. So your poetry is a memory.
Yeah.
Will bring someone back to what was. And the other thing I have to say is, you know, poetry, listening to it and spoken, it's interesting. You kind of delivered fast, but some of that was the train. And I think if you slowed down a bit in the end, it's like that chug, a chug, a chug at the end of a train as a train slowing
Yeah.
down, because there you are. It's just a dream.
Mhm.
So if you can get yourself to put on the brakes a bit, you take us through with the pace, but then slow us down
Right.
just a tad. Beautiful. Lovely.
Cool.
I like it.
You know, there was a rhythm to it and I like to read it fast. I had to slow myself down a little bit as it was. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, you're right.
Yeah. But trains take off and you took off with us and we went with you, girl.
Right.
We went with you.
Yeah, that's when you might think of submitting.
Okay.
So,
Mhm.
okay, mine is called I Wonder. And I was talking to Angela, right? Earlier, Angela, and I said, a couple of years ago, I would say I was 42 twice when somebody asked me how old I was, because it sounded better than saying 84. Well, this year I'm going to be 86. And so my poem is called I Wonder. I wonder, as I'm growing older, how much older will I get? Or what's the chance remember myself or self not know I've met? Will I forget who I have been, my life of long ago? The things I've done, places I've gone, will these or you I know? I wonder as I grow older, how different can it be? Today, not remembering you, days wonder about me. I enjoy the moment I am in, one before the one I forget. How many of you have I asked, my darling, have we met? Wonder if you've been wondering, how do I get through each day? I remember God loves me, and I still know how to pray. And so that's I wonder, and that's the end.
Mm.
Okay. Any comments?
Yeah, we familiar territory. Yeah.
Ellen, we know something hey, I've got one where I compare a young girl just entering old age, and if we all come back maybe next month, I'll remember that because Ellen, I'm letting these young ones see what we have already discovered that they have yet to discover, and you'll find it very funny. So I may bring that one in next month. Okay, I think we're repeating again and starting all over. If so, Angela, we're ready for you again.
Okay. When I think it was Ellen read hers about um the memories, and I decided to pull this one out. I wasn't expecting to read it, but it's been a long time since I've read it. I hope I can read it okay. It's
Okay.
about it's I say all writers have a form of OCD where I'm not OCD, ADD, where we just jump around. I mean, you see the Christmas tree behind me. I just can't get things done. And I'm always late everywhere I go. So this was about being late too. But it's called Echoes of Daydreams. Wrestle from slumber's grasp, I stumble to the basin where she is waiting. Bags under her eyes, unkempt hair. Ooh, I shudder. 2 minutes each morning she stares at me, white foam oozing from the corners of her mouth. Disgruntled with the view, I look away from her. I look through the mirror, back into the backyard. Not looking directly out the window makes this acceptable to her. She is delighted with the view. An enormous oak stretches toward the sky. It opens arms, bear the weight of our senses. We long to be in those arms, to see the world sitting among alluring angles, to turn toward the window. So I turn toward the window to get a better look. I stretch and I strain to find the oak. Such a massive place, yet it's nowhere in sight. Frantically, I look back into the mirror, past the water spots, past her glare. Yes, there it is, the oak, the view. I smile as words from the past echo in my brain, muffled only by the mechanical beast upon the basin, buzzing a sound that means I've been brushing for 2 minutes past. Still, the echo is louder as she looks at me with her mother's glare. Echoes of daydreams and climbing trees, realizing that mother's words were true even to this day, as she look up into the branches and warn, Angie Grace, you better get down from there. You're going to be late. The end. Does it make any sense?
Made a lot of sense to me.
I'm trying to brush my teeth and get ready for work, but I just can't quit daydreaming.
Agreed.
Love
Okay.
the image of her looking back at you
Thank you.
and then getting lost in the
Mm.
oak. Love that. Yeah.
And the title was beautiful, Echo of Daydreams. That was beautiful too.
Mhm.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you.
And
I have a lot about memories and daydreams and dreams tonight. Okay, Ellen, I believe it's your turn tonight.
All right, I'm debating.
Catherine wanted to say something.
Yes,
Angela,
Yes.
like Elizabeth, you also had a lot of visual things. So bags under her eyes, and I think you said maybe foaming
Yeah.
mouth, buzzing sound that I've been brushing for, what was it, 12 minutes?
2 minutes. 2 minutes. My toothbrush a long time ago had would buzz for two. After you brush for 2 minutes, a little alarm would go because my mom said you need to brush 2 minutes. So she had a little toothbrush that would buzz when 2 minutes was over.
But again, just those,
Uh,
I think, for the listener or the reader, those kinds of things really put us there.
Mhm.
because it's something that we all have a sense of what that, buzzing sound might sound like. And, that's why we have makeup to hide the bags under the eyes. And
We've looked at ourselves in the morning mirror and said, "Ooh."
Yeah, who is
It's
that
that-
person?
so very nice.
Thank you.
Let's see, if y'all want to, you want to take a break and go get some ice water or something for just a minute, or pull up another poem and just take like 5 minutes and go do that?
Mhm. Okay.
I'm good.
You're good? Okay. Y'all go ahead. I'm gonna be listening, but I want to see if I can find one of my little old lady poems.
Okay.
Angela really got me started on that one. So I'm right here at my table. Let's see, whose turn is it to read next? I think Ellen, it's yours.
Yeah, I don't even know if I have any old lady poems.
Okay, while you're
But I'll
looking,
look for them next time. But
okay, while you're looking, Catherine, you read.
I have a poem here on my desk that I wrote actually a long time ago, and I don't even know if any of you young people can relate to this.
Well, darling, you and I will hang in there together, okay?
Okay, it's called Love in Cyber World.
Say it again.
Love in Cyber World.
Okay.
There are new options in the romance department. No young ladies sitting prim and proper at Miss Porter's, their knees knobbing together like finishing school graduates. You don't even have to go to a singles bar if drinking and flirting are not your style, or to a mixer where guys want, where all guys want is a one-night stand and food. This is the computer age, the time you meet your mate in privacy and print. Each of us can cruise the net, interact with singles out there in the vast ellipse, like constellations waiting to be discovered. You can Skype your way to love, even have online sex. It brings together Maine and California, August and December, Miss Hopeful and Mr. Goodbar, who hunt and peck their way to romance, groping for words. Better now, perhaps, than after marriage.
I relate, darling. I do relate. The knees knocking together. You said
Mhm.
at the very
Well,
beginning.
going to a dance or whatever and just standing on the side there waiting for some guy to ask you to dance.
Yeah, these young girls just don't know what we
What we went through, huh?
we went through. They've got it ace. They've got it good. Okay, let's see. Ellen, let's see. After you came Catherine.
Yeah, okay. I think I'll read this one. I just wrote this one the other day. Here in Asheville at UNCA, there's the Osher Lifelong Learning Institute, OLLI. And as part of that, there's during the pandemic, they had a group form of poets, and they called themselves the Barricaded Poets because they couldn't go anywhere. And I didn't join the group, but I've always looked forward to reading the different poems that appear in each weekly issue of the kind of the e-newsletter that comes out. And this week, apparently there was a prompt. They didn't give any info about it, but all of the poems, I think there were about 4 or 5 of them, either had as the title or incorporated somewhere in it 3 words, the next time.
Hmm.
And I thought, that just sounds, there was something about it the next time that just kind of tweaked my interest. And so I decided, okay, let's go for it. The next time what? So here we go. The next time. The next time you ask me something again, despite my giving you an answer several times before, I hope to avoid a tone in my voice, one of exasperation, of annoyance, of irritation. that you never seem to remember things I tell you. Yet you remember new facts that you read from this morning, anecdotes from grade school, remarkable memories from some 70 years ago.
Mm,
It does make,
yeah, that's there's a poignancy in that poem that's
Reality,
yeah.
reality.
Yeah, right to the point.
My husband, the traveler. But
Elizabeth?
Yes,
you-
you ready? Okay. The next one I'm gonna read. This one is a little bit dark. There's a little bit of violence in it, but it was also written for a prompt on the same little contest, and the prompt asked us to use the words "tell no one." It had to take place in a garden, and it had to have a sense of mystery about it. It had to be mysterious. Those three conditions had to take place. So this is called "The Bones in the Garden."
Wow.
Tell no one of the bones buried deep within the garden, bones of black men dead and gone, that now lie in rest, forgotten. On this which we deem hallowed ground, their plight and death unknown, no tombstones mark their graves or names, no record in old stone. Tell no one of the men whose lives were lost for nothing. Their dark skin affronted those who thought their lives could not mean something. They dragged and beat and burned these men, burned them to the bones. Then they discarded their remains in this garden they now call home. Tell no one of the tears shed here in this old garden, a flood of grief and cries and wails among weeds and flowers rotten. No justice awaiting for these men, their killers unknown and free. Their loved ones suffer to never know peace or tranquility. So tell no one of the bones buried deep within the garden. Let them remain there undisturbed, the mystery forgotten. Remember only they once were loved by family and in folklore, men who once stood strong and proud, and now they are no more.
Mm,
The end.
I loved it.
very,
I loved it.
Thank
yeah.
you.
No
Yes,
record in
welcome.
cold stone,
Yeah.
burned to the bone, no justice, mystery forgotten. Oh, I got goose pimples all over me. I mean, that touched me to the core.
Makes me think of movies, you know, that have taken place in the South, or even
Right.
like even the movie Sounder. That was a very poignant movie, beautiful
Right.
movie. I'm trying to think of even oh, what was the what was that movie with Gregory Peck? I
Not to Kill a Mockingbird.
yes,
Okay.
movies like that
Yeah.
where, you know, just such heinous crimes were committed against Black men who were perfectly innocent, didn't do anything, and they just it's just so it's just very sad that there's so much hate in this world.
Absolutely.
And
Still.
why
Absolutely. Even today, it's
what
ridiculous.
foments it, what you know, it's so irrational.
It is. I agree with you. I mean, it doesn't make any sense, you know?
Angela, did you want to say something?
yeah, her poem took me to that place with them, and that's the place we need to go. I mean, that needs to be, and something for history. And I'm glad that it's heart-wrenching poem. But and another thing, you did a fabulous job of doing what they asked you to do about a garden
Yes.
and the mystery. I mean, it's perfect, and that's just very hard to do to
Thank
someone
you.
to throw you out a sentence there and you write a poem about it, fit it in
Yeah.
there.
I don't know. There was something about the three words, tell no one, that stuck with me. I was like, okay, I know where
Yeah.
I'm gonna go. So
Yeah, I think beautiful job of just putting it out there and almost not, I don't want to say not involving yourself, but you know, there's a point of view where we could get so angry
Mhm.
that a poem becomes preachy.
Yeah.
Right, but
And
she didn't.
she didn't. No, this is just, hey,
This is what
this is it.
happened. Yeah,
This is what happened.
right.
And you do what the heck you want with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved that about the poem because it makes it more accessible when it is less confrontational.
Right, right,
It doesn't need to be confrontational because what you're writing about is confrontational enough.
right.
And you know that. So it shows the maturity of
Mhm.
the poet.
Thank you.
I
The
would love
only,
an email copy of that. I
yeah.
really, now, I would like to read one next out of turn. And Bonnie,
Okay, and can I say one more thing about
yeah,
Elizabeth's
please
poem?
do,
Because
please do.
the line "lives lost for nothing" really pulled at my gut. And my thought is that they were not lost for nothing. They were something. And your I think your poem elevates them to a something.
Yeah.
And I think that's just it's a brilliant and it's an honoring thing to do to lives you don't even know about.
Yeah, you know what it is that there's a little cemetery close to my house, and
Uh-huh.
it's not well kept. And so, when I drive by, I always wonder. I'm just like, who's buried there? I mean, it's right next to a railroad track. It's so randomly placed, this little cemetery, and we pass it all the time. And so I just wonder. So it comes to me. I wonder if it's not like Black people living there or living there, buried there, because it's just not kept at all. It's like an afterthought. But you can see it easily on the road. So that was part of the inspiration, based on the prompt and everything. As I passed it every day, and I always wonder who was buried over there. So there you have it.
Yeah,
Very
great
well
job.
done. Let me ask you, did you place in that one also, I hope?
Yes, I did. But these little contests is like that day. I know because I really liked this poem. I was really proud of it. That day is like only two of us entered. So, but yeah, I won that one.
Well, that's another pat on the back for you,
Oh,
girlfriend.
well, thank you.
Yeah, and you won just by writing it.
Yes,
No,
Yeah.
well,
I
thank you.
mean, come on, Elizabeth.
Thank you.
Excellent point, Bonnie.
Pardon?
Excellent point.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Elizabeth.
Yes, thanks.
Catherine, don't you like the way tonight everyone's sharing? Because she's been with me before. And I like the way tonight we ladies are sharing with each other and talking to each other. I'm loving this. So I want to follow, well, I should not want to follow Elizabeth after what you just read, because I think Bonnie's going to be the first one to say, "Oh, Barbara, you are so confrontational," you know. But do y'all remember? I wrote this in January the 29th last year, and there was a young boy who was running, and he was running close to his mother's house, and the white policeman stopped him, and he was crying out in the backyard for his mother. And if you saw that, it was on the Sunday night 60 Minutes show. And it's called Do Not Use Excessive Force. Do not use excessive force. But who decides what's excessive? Huge cops, strong, heavy fit, or young Black youth weighing 130. Excessive when youth hit. Why youth couldn't show his hands? 'Cause cops were holding his arms. Deliberate narcissistic abuse did not send off alarms. Cops turned deaf ear, son's almost home, calling his mom we heard. I was crying, heart-wrenching to hear the killing observed. What success? Not white, sure no, that's why their mothers cry. TV showed cops killing youth. Cops just watched mom, son die. Something seen over, over like when heard George Floyd cry. God in the heavens keeps seeing more non-whites this way die. Execution of non-whites by bad cops, to say the least. Ashamed, see so-called protectors behave as violent beasts. January 29th, 2023, the end.
True.
Okay, now Bonnie, you know I want to comment out of you, friend. All of you, I
It's,
like it. But
yes.
it broke, if you were watching that program that night, it broke my heart because we as white mothers don't have to tell our sons, if someone stops you, keep your hands up, don't ever reach in your pockets. There are so many things that mothers of different colored sons have to warn them about that we white women have never had to think about. And it breaks my heart when I see excessive just abuse or hate or just because of the color of the skin. God is impartial. He doesn't see color. We're all equal in his eyes. And it's a shame that we we are in 2024. It ought to be different.
Yes, ma'am.
You would think the world would be getting better because, things would get better because civilization is moving on. Instead, we seem to be going backwards. What's going on now, it's almost like living in the dark ages.
Yep.
I mean, things
Yeah.
are happening now that are just beyond comprehension, beyond what's rational.
But I
So
think also there's a
it's a
point
paradox.
now. Well, it's a paradox, but I think there's also a point where, we live in a different world in terms of, Ellen, your poem about online sex. Um, you know, Technology has brought us to a different place.
Oh, that's
And
for
so
sure.
sometimes things that are very scary and potentially buried and put under a rug are not now because of technology. And
Well,
so a lot of what we see and hear is the bringing to light of things. And I think that is helpful in what we hope is a move forward toward more understanding and acceptance.
but
So,
but it's also
I,
unleashed. It's also unleashed uh, a barrage of horror of very very terrible things.
yes,
The tech,
yes,
the
It's a double-edged
social
sword.
media, all
yes,
of this. I mean, I don't know. I will not do uh, Instagrams or TikToks or even what's the other one where people just write everything they do. I mean, their kid takes a step and they put it out on
Facebook.
what? Facebook.
Facebook.
Facebook. I don't want to have anything to do with that sort of stuff. I mean,
but
and
those
people write the
things
most
are,
inane things on, put out the most inane things on it. I mean, I have to laugh.
yes, but those are also platforms, right?
Yeah, but it's also look. I mean, I'm glad that I don't have to raise children now at this stage of,
Sure.
because I think it is extremely difficult. I mean, when I think of it, I mean, I grew up at a time, who ever heard of these things? I mean, even I wasn't even exposed to drugs. And here, these kids, it's in high schools, it's I don't know. It seems to me that now we are exposed to dangers that we weren't, and the computer age has brought that around, made it more prominent, and all of these things on social media, they, you know, I don't even,
It's a double-edged sword. There's good with
it is a
like with
double-edged sword.
anything,
That's why I said it's
there's
a
good and bad.
paradox.
Yeah.
You know, here, I mean, look at the strides that man has made in technology, in medicine, in science, even in art. And yet it's sort of like there is a
With this technology, people are going backwards.
yeah,
Yeah, they're
it's
becoming more
bringing
base.
about all
Mhm.
kinds of happenings that blow your mind because it's also negative.
Instead of drawing closer and
Mhm.
being more supportive as a community, it seems like people are getting a more narcissistic attitude. And I think this is the me first generation. And that's the reason I want to have a sense of community among us, that we're comfortable with each other. It's
Mm.
inclusive on all things, you know. I don't want to put you on the spot, Elizabeth. Do you have any children?
I do have 3. They were walking around.
Did
Yeah.
you,
They're, my youngest is 20, my oldest, she'll be 26 in a couple days.
did you have a son that you had to warn about the things I was
Mhm.
discussing
My
about?
son, yeah, because he was going to school in Jackson, Mississippi for a while. He was at Jackson State, and it's really bad down there. And I talked to him repeatedly because he had a thing for a while where he didn't want to go out with his ID, and I was like, "What are you even thinking about? You cannot be with ID. You don't want to give cops any reason to pull you over, and when you're in, and if they do, God forbid, you don't have your ID. That's a problem." So he's finally gotten it together. But yeah, I have to have that talk with him a lot.
Well, does it make you feel better to know that people understand the difference in mothers
Mhm.
and
I
our
mean,
obligations?
it does, it does, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. We have to deal with it because our 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 situation is what it is. This is what we have to deal with. The kids tend to be more quickly targeted, for lack of a better word. And we just have to work with it as best we can.
Well, I'm glad
And
you,
yet the paradox of the technology, it brings some of the violence into our laps. And we seem to be, to me, I've always thought about hate and love. And hate's always a strong soapbox to stand on because I think as human beings, we're born and we have this inherent need to survive. Hate draws a group. To me, sometimes love doesn't. Um, it just doesn't seem as mesmerizing. Nobody wants to hear good things. Everybody wants to hear bad things. How can I protect myself? That kind of thing. But yet the technology brings a diverse group together to talk about how they feel and hopefully in a safe environment to share their thoughts about coming into the world in all these different, as women in all these different ages, seasoned, middle-aged, younger. Um, and so, the Zoom and the technology is also a blessing.
Oh, definitely.
Now,
let
could
me,
we have this conversation without it?
I said the only two good
Exactly.
things to come out of COVID was Zoom and no
Yeah,
traffic.
Yeah, the traffic is
exactly.
back.
Yeah.
Traffic is definitely back.
Yeah. Y'all, I
well,
want to take it back down to the nut of it. When she was writing it, and this has happened to me, I have a poem somewhere that I wrote the first school shooting that ever happened. I mean, I how would I ever know it would happen more than once, And it just tore me so, it's still to this day, it just tore me up so badly that I got my pen and paper out and just tried to get some of it out of me. And then it's there now. And just like with her poem, she was so distraught over that. And we all can remember that moment through her poem. You brought it right back. I remember watching the news. I remember exactly what she's talking about. And I think that as poets, it's almost like a release for us, but it's also helps others too, I think, to still
Yes.
have them. So
Angela, I appreciate what you said about what I wrote.
mhm.
I want to put out a book, and one is The Dark Side of Life. And Elizabeth, I ask you, do you think that is a proper or a poem that should be included in my book? I want, when I reveal the life of girls that are abused and trafficking and missing children, my love of humanity is for my readers to try to have empathy for the
Right.
dark side of life I'm going to show. And I don't know, have you ever written poems? And my husband will come in and I'll read one to him, and that's not who I am. I'm like you ladies. I'm for love, but I'm exposing these dark sides, and it's to make people aware that
Mhm.
it's like your poem about the man who had one eye, but he had blessings. For us to be grateful that we're not experiencing some of the things Elizabeth and other mothers share, and when we read it, to have empathy for these people, to try to be the change within ourselves that we want to see among others. Does that make sense? And not
Absolutely.
uh,
Absolutely. Because, sometimes people get it confused that um sometimes I don't know about you all, but sometimes I write characters to tell my story. And it's not me, it's a story. No different than Stephen King. He's not half the crazy people he writes about, but
like
he's trying to get a message out. But for some reason, people get it confused with poetry, I think. I have a lot of poems that I write in first person, and everybody's like, oh, this is about you. I was like, no, I just like writing in first person.
Mhm.
So I think what you're saying has value, absolutely.
Mhm.
and
Because you want to
like
show a different point of view, or you want to show something. That
Right.
doesn't mean that it's you per se. You're just trying to say, hey, this is what we're doing in our society. This is what it looks like.
right.
Right. Mhm.
Well, ladies, I am really appreciating. This is the most different open mic series we've ever had, and I like that we've shared poetry, we've shared our feelings. Uh, I think this has been a wonderful night, and let's just continue reading. But I just wanted to thank you for all of your comments. I think we're all benefiting from each other's awareness of what we're trying to do. Do y'all agree? Thumbs up.
Mm.
Okay.
Yes. But I also sometimes think that when we're not recorded, we're more open.
Right. But is it, well, I think we've been pretty open tonight.
Well, I do too. I do too, no doubt.
And
Yes.
and I hope, I mean, do y'all feel the same way? I think Marion should keep this up. I think people need to know that this is a platform where we can share our feelings and not be judged in the wrong attitude of what we're trying to share. I think tonight's YouTube event is a wonderful way to invite others who would like to participate. How we are talking out of our hearts. Do
Mhm.
you agree, Bonnie? That this is would
Do.
be a good incentive for others to join us, because we're not afraid to be real. We're not afraid to share what we feel and what's hurt us.
I think so, but I think sometimes people too, I think sometimes poetry is deep and
And personal.
sometimes it's personal. Yeah. Yeah. And so sometimes I think the idea of being recorded might be a little much for someone to want to fully give. I think
And
sometimes
empty.
people might hold back is
Right.
just all I'm saying.
That's a good point. But the thing is, we can talk about our puppy dogs. We can talk about our cats. I mean, I've got one that I was going to read next about my doggie, and so it certainly would turn the tide on where we've gone tonight. But you're being recorded, so you share what you are comfortable sharing, and you
True.
don't have to go where you don't want to go. This is your 2 or 3 minutes to share what you want and what you've written about and who you are. And so somebody help me. Where do we go? Who was the last person that read before I read? That was you, Elizabeth.
Yes.
And I think Bonnie is the one that comes next.
Right. Speaking of fixing the world, this is called Winter Bird. Winter Bird. If the world isn't a better place, don't blame me. Throughout the night, my ministrations, thoughts, schemes, and dreams have set right humanity's course. Imagined new systems, conceived of planetary homeostasis, hoped for humans, harmonic in reciprocated response. This morning, flittering warbler, sage without weight, begins her call. Simple, here. A song that has been lifted for millions of years. She reminds me, I do not have wings. The end.
You see, it would really be so helpful if we had the poem sitting in front of us, because some, you have images in the poem, you have phrases that, of course, once read, we've lost it. I mean, it may stay, particular line so that we could say, we have to say something about that line. But it would be so helpful if we were able to look at the poem and say, go back to these lines. I mean, that was a very deep poem.
Well, and one thing I find interesting, and I always have, I not always, but I have been places where maybe the number of poems read is limited, but the poems are read twice.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. Would you read that
Really?
poem again?
So it goes over you the first time, but then it really goes over you the second time. So you're allowed to think through it, Ellen, I think is what you're saying. And I think that's especially important because it's not in front as a written document.
Yeah.
How many of you would like to do it that way?
Well, how could we do it that way? I
Well,
mean,
it can be done if you,
Girls,
because everybody's registering. You would just
Mhm.
have to have like a due date and say, like, if you're going to be here, register and submit 3 poems that you want to read so that we can share with the group. I don't think that would be hard.
I mean, I
Yes,
wouldn't know how to bring it up on the screen. And I
Well,
know
we would
Well,
eat-
like you
sessions.
could distribute it via email, for example. If and this is just one way, but like if you have the registration, you put in your poems and put in the email so that once you have all the participants who are going to read, then you can just send it out like a group email. These are the people who want to read. These are the poems that they've submitted, so you can follow along, and then you could still allow people to come in
Right.
afterwards. We
Right.
don't have to say, well, you didn't register. You maybe they're
Right.
just there as audience, but the ones who are going to read, I guess, just as a thought, they would have access to the poems.
Yeah. And then the writer could write down what things was said, whatever criticism was given, and it might help to when you revise, because poetry is constant revision. The thing, when I first started taking workshops, I think the first person who I took a workshop with, she said poetry that's what she loved about writing poems. You get in and you get out. You say what you have to say and you get out. And in that, within that framework, you use the most, let's say innovative language. You say what you want to say using the sharpest images, I mean, there's a lot of craft involved in poetry, using metaphors, using all similes, I mean, You know, I remember in one of the first workshops I took, there was one gal, she always used what I call drop dead images. We didn't always understand what she was talking about. She really had to explain what she was talking about. And I have always felt that poetry should be accessible. There should be something that you can hook onto, you know, either identify with or understand. And because I mean, I've read many poets who I don't know what they're talking about.
They're abstract.
Haven't the vaguest idea what they're talking about.
Angela,
I don't know if you ever heard of a poet called John Ashbery. He even taught at the college that I went to. I never understood a word of his poetry. And it really was frustrating.
I
You know,
agree
well,
with
I
that.
think, I think that's why poetry, like, I have someone in my family and I say I want to share. I'm not interested in poetry. I don't read poetry. I'm not interested in it.
right? A lot of people
Goes
don't.
over their head. I think everything, ladies, what we have shared tonight has reached our hearts. It has not gone over our heads. Do you agree?
Agreed.
Yes.
You know, I've also felt also out of this, I sometimes I don't hear every word. I can't always hear every word that you speak when you read your poems.
That's true. And I know with my mask on, I tell people I don't want to get a computer virus. Okay, that's why I'm wearing my mask. But I hope to get over with. But well, why don't we? I'm going to bring this up and see if now listen, girls, if we're going to do this, if we're going to send in our 3 poems so that we can have them distributed, if there's going to be among us, you know, 5 people right now, just between us, I'm willing to share my poems. Well, 6. Angela, I don't want to leave you out just because I can't see you, darling. Would y'all like that, Angela? Everybody, would y'all like to send your poems in and we are the only ones that will get them in advance? And
We
that we can kind of do a little critique when we finish?
yeah. I'm not
That's
that
an idea.
savvy on the computer, but I guess we'd have to have each of us would have to have our email addresses.
I mean, there's a couple
the-
different ways it can be done. You know, I just tossed one idea out there. You know,
How would we do it?
if for example, just an example, like I have some of my poetry posted on a website. I could always just put the link in the chat and then you could just open it right there. You know, just as a thought. I know not everybody maybe has that capability, but there's several different ways. I'm sure there are ways we could do it. We got to just sit and brainstorm and organize it. So
Well,
Right. I
when
don't
you
know how to do it, but
well, we have a gentleman called Marion who is our very talented tech man. And you can leave your email and your telephone number in the chat line tonight. So I'll have it, and then that way he'll have it too. And then,
the chat room, where is the chat room?
well, that's that little thing at the bottom. I don't know who of us signed up a while ago.
the,
Can tell.
the chat, if you go to the bottom of your controls are, there's something that has 3 dots and says more. And if you click on that, it'll open a window and it'll say chat.
I don't see that. I'm sorry.
All right, I do. All right, it says participants invite.
Share
Have
screen,
it.
summary, AI companion, reactions, whiteboards, and then there's 3 dots and the word more. You got to click on it.
I see whiteboard.
So if we wanted to put our email addresses on there, how would we?
Okay, you can go back. Let me see if Marion can help us. Marion gets your name when you first sign up. He does not get your email or your telephone number, which I want. He only gets your email somehow after we've recorded this program. And then I'll make sure that he gets my telephone number and information to y'all, and we're gonna try to contact you and see if we can get this going for the February the 15th broadcast. Y'all want to aim for that?
Sure.
I'm so glad.
Mm.
I think that was a very good idea, Ellen. I think that was very good.
Well, I mean,
Your guy, I'm sorry, your tech guy gets the email because I know when I tried to enter, I couldn't enter without supplying my email address. That's how he gets it.
Right.
Once it was there, obviously it's going to a data file someplace. So,
Okay. Well, I wanted to have it so I could thank,
oh,
not good at sending emails, but I did want to thank some of you for being here and coming back again. So I think we've got something good going, ladies.
Mhm.
All righty. Now, who's the turn? Leslie, again, it was after, wait a minute. After Elizabeth, after you was Bonnie.
mhm.
Yeah,
Bonnie
you
Red
ready?
Nose.
Bonnie, did you come after her? If so,
Or
we got,
maybe after Catherine.
or after me. I think you came after me. Angela, I think it's your turn, darling.
Okay, so I didn't realize you couldn't see me.
No, can you post, can you do your video so we can see you?
I don't know how. I've been trying. I've been pushing buttons.
Okay, girls, let's help her.
At the bottom or wherever your controls are, you'll see mute and then you'll see stop video. There's probably a red line through stop video. So all you gotta do is click it and the line should go away and we should be able to see you.
Can I see
Angela,
you?
Angela, on
Yeah.
mine, when I move my cursor to on where my name is, my picture, and I go to the upper right-hand corner,
Oh, here we go.
mine shows a little blue box with 3 dots. Let's see, wait a minute. No, it's not that one. Where is it?
I see
Yeah.
my
Slide, yeah. When you log in the future, it asks you if you want to start video. And if you
Okay.
start the video, then we can see you. I think that's how it works.
Okay. I can see myself now, but you guys can't see me. So,
Right.
okay. And let's see if I
And
see.
well,
I'll keep trying next time. Yeah, we'll get it better. I have
and-
my help me.
Angela, do you remember you hearing me trying to get my situation started tonight? So you're not by yourself, darling, okay?
I remember that.
Well, can anybody else give her another idea so we could see her and at least say goodnight to her before the night over? What else could she do?
Oh, 1 second, let me try something. Do y'all see my screen?
yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so Angela, if you should see, you
Hold
can't
on.
see you still can't see the controls though. Can you see my controls?
No.
What do
No,
you call your controls for her?
no, it won't show the controls. I thought maybe you would be able to see the controls, but it's not. So we're gonna stop that. Because if I was thinking you could see the controls. Sorry.
Well, at
I
least
would
you
know how to do that.
out how to unmute myself. So that's good. So I will read a poem
Yes.
called Tattoo. I don't know if any of you are familiar with Athens, Georgia, the big bulldog.
Yes.
There's a street called Clayton Street.
Yes.
Okay. Well, this is Cafe on Clayton Street. I stumbled upon the memory, this street. It was like a curb missing a piece of its crest. The tip of my toe caught it just enough to trip, but not enough to lose my balance and fall. I came upon it as I searched for a shady place to sit and write. The little cafe had changed, but the alley and the street were just the same. I knew this place. How can one suddenly remember a day that is 30 years in the past? There was nothing spectacular or life-changing about that day. Yet, should we judge a day? She was the salvation of my youth, my very best friend. Although our worlds could not have been more diverse, we were kindred spirits, always, and we're still joined at the heart. When first together we were mere children, young teens by the time that day came to be. Her parents drove us into town, left us to ourselves deep in bulldog country. That quaint spot found us, just as it found me again today. A small cafe that served only soup and salads. I can still taste the briny liquid of that chicken noodle. It was the best flavor my palate had ever known. It was freedom. It was trust. It was becoming. That's the end.
What was the last word?
It was becoming. I used to put women. It was becoming women.
It was determined. Is that what the word?
It was becoming a woman. Was my
Okay.
the first time we were left alone, and I had gone to a poetry class in downtown Athens, and they let us have lunch on our own. There was no planned lunch, and so I was just walking the street and found there I was at this little cafe that we had been to when we were little girls. So I sat down and wrote this poem about us thinking we were grown, becoming women.
And did you enjoy the briny soup?
I sure did. Sure did.
Well,
I
we,
thought
we could see you on, what did you call it? The deep in Bulldog County. We could see you there.
yeah. That was just a little lighthearted one.
Enjoyed it. Ellen, it's your turn again.
All right. I wrote this recently also. You know, lately there has been this movie Maestro about Leonard Bernstein. I don't know how many of you young people know who Leonard Bernstein was. But and I actually wrote a poem about him a number of years ago when I actually went to a rehearsal at Tanglewood. But this came to me after watching something on YouTube after this movie came out. So I called it Lenny Kissed Me. He flicked away the cigarette, one of many half smoked, then discarded that morning at Tanglewood after rehearsal with the BSO, that's the Boston Symphony Orchestra. With an arm flung around my shoulder, he hugged and kissed with such exuberance, and me only one of his adoring admirers. Sam and Jenny Bernstein's baby Brahms, this Jewish boy genius, no beauty supply business for him, catapulted to fame when Bruno Walter took sick. He emblazoned the music world, conductor, musician, composer, teacher. His entourage that day included his mother, so lightly pushed into a waiting car by her impatient son with a growl. Get in, Ma. To an invitation from a colleague, he called. Can't tonight. My kids have cooked up something for my birthday. As the maestro drove off, I, like a groupie, said to myself, Lenny kissed me. The end.
And you said he kissed you?
He did. He
The
did.
maestro
So
did not kiss Ellen.
That's one for the ages.
he was smoking a
Definitely worth
cigarette.
writing
He
a poem
tossed it
about.
on the ground. He threw his arm around me, kissed me. Well, I introduced myself by saying that I knew somebody that was a composer also, who I knew through my parents. And when I mentioned his name, he was very exuberant, Bernstein, and very effusive. And he said, "Oh, Lazarovich, my old friend." And he threw his arms around me and kissed me.
And how was the kiss?
You think I should remember? This was like 40 years ago. No, this must have been in the 1980s. Yeah, so no, it wasn't 40 years ago, maybe. But it was, well, I was always in awe of these people who, when I was younger, I wanted to be an actress, but I didn't. In school, I would never go try out for a part because I would get as far as the stage door and I would get cold feet. And but I was always in awe of people who rose to the top through their talent, you know, movie stars, um and I was always excited when I saw somebody famous, you know. And here, because I am so into music, I was so I wanted to go backstage to see Leonard Bernstein, you know, or Zubin Mehta did that too, but he, I don't know, Mehta came out one day, he was in a very bad mood, he didn't talk to anybody. But
They are temperamental.
yeah, but Bernstein wasn't like that. And it's the other poem that I wrote, they had his daughter, one of his children now are very much a part of this movie, that having helped Cooper to produce it. And she wrote a book, his oldest daughter, Growing Up Bernstein. And she read it at the Atlanta book, when they had the book fair every year. And when I bought it, and I told her that I had written a poem about her father, and she wanted to see it. So it was sent to her. And then she wrote back and asked if she could share it with her siblings. And of course, why not? So I guess I've sort of had, I don't know, what is it, an interest. And sometimes, you know, that the ideas for poems sometimes just come to me from a thought, you know. I mean,
You know, you're giving me an idea, Ellen. You know, maybe between the five of us too, we can pick a thought or a theme like Elizabeth has been giving out. And we can have it ready to give in February and come back in March and share that or something. That might be good. Okay,
well,
we just got a
if
few
we
more
could
minutes.
critique, yeah, I
Mhm.
guess if that's what critiquing, at least if you, because, you know, I mean, not all well, you always should say something good about something. You never knock anybody. That's another thing I've always learned also in workshops, because not every, I mean, a criticism is not necessarily knocking something, but helping you make it better.
And that's what we want. That's what we want. Well, we got
So,
Well,
a few more.
and I think that's definitely true. And you have to have the right group
And I
to
think
work
we're
together, to help each other, to support each other, to build each other up, to make
yeah, I mean,
want
yeah,
to work to help each person
right.
make their poetry better.
You could pick out a line in a person's poem and say, you know, that line you put in so many ands and or buts or whatever, and
exactly.
you could take that line would work so much better if you took out those words and made the line more concise. I mean, you know, I don't
Yes.
even know I started writing poetry maybe 40 years ago, so things may have changed in the poetry world now.
Right.
But I only go by what I have been taught through the workshops that I have taken over the years.
And we can learn from you, you know, and I think we can learn from each other. We've got a few more minutes. Catherine, are you ready to read your last poem of the night?
All righty. Bonnie, this one's gonna link with yours, your winter bird one. A little different take on it. As the crows fly, black silhouettes rise and dip above the meadow. In unison, I extend wings. Inhale, exhale. Release terrestrial thoughts with each breath. Imagine feathers to catch currents, circulating through clouds. My mind loosens with each wing beat. Fears take flight. The past is not in my control. Perhaps it never was. Taunts brayed by bullies, failed loves, words pelted in anger, impossible to erase. As the crows fly, rise and dip above the meadow, I inhale, exhale, release. Each thought, seek control of our joined flight in diminishing daylight. Tomorrow's destination lies just out of reach. a day to pull pages from my life's journal. The end.
See, there was one line that you had in there that I thought was a very good line. The words pelted.
And
That it had power.
words pelted in anger.
Yeah. Words.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was something that caught me, Catherine, but no, I can't remember it, and I'm so sorry.
What did you say? I missed that.
Just that there was something that caught me. There was a phrase, but I can't remember what it was. You know, I kept on listening. I guess I should have written it down. And my apologies, but I liked at the end, you know, the page is taken out of life's journal.
Mm.
Pull the pages from life's journal. Right.
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
like what she said too. Did you notice, Bonnie, where she said, wait a minute. I lost my note. The fear takes flight with that,
Mhm.
you know, that was nice. All righty, let's see, Catherine, and is Elizabeth still here? I don't think we
No,
got,
She said she had to go.
okay. Well,
Okay.
Bonnie, I think it's your time again. We've
and
got,
the only thing I have is a haiku that because I wasn't really prepared. So this is just one haiku, and I'll read it twice because it's haiku. So this is spring cleaning concluded. Unquestionably the last samurai futon. And I'll read it one more time.
that's just what I was fixing to say, please.
Spring cleaning concludes. Unquestionably the last samurai futon.
I love them. I can't write them, but I like hearing them.
Yeah, I don't write haikus either, but
Nope, I don't do that. Okay.
And
Oh,
I just
you
play
know, I
with
didn't-
them. I like to play.
yeah, because I didn't quite understand that, but when you said samurai, I thought, oh my goodness, there's something very powerful in this. I mean, after all, a samurai is a swordsman, it's a warlike. So were you saying, you said spring cleaning concluded. So something was resolved or finished,
Finished.
and because it was a samurai thing, it must have been something negative that you got rid of,
very
or
interesting.
resolved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, Ellen, and it's interesting to listen to you. I mean, super smart and intelligent.
Oh my God. Thank
I
you.
just love
No,
the, you know,
I'm just, I never prided myself on being a good critiquer.
We got 2 minutes,
I-
lady.
Always felt I fell down in that area.
yeah,
But,
no, good job.
and I said, my goodness, what is she saying here? But in that haiku, using the sparse language, you conveyed something very powerful.
I think that's the beauty of haiku.
Okay, ladies are going to interrupt. We've got 3 minutes left before we stop.
Bonnie, could you read
Catherine,
the last two lines? Unquestionably
the last
last. And then you had samurai.
futon.
Futon.
Okay, ladies, I
I
have to
don't
say,
quite get futon, but
we'll get it later, but I have to say for now that it has been a joy having us sharing all the things we've shared tonight. It's been a very unique poetry soup. I want you to be aware that Roswell, Georgia is going to be hosting the national conference. You'll be hearing more about that. So I hope you will come back and learn about that. I'm going to
Is that virtual?
Roswell, Georgia, and please go on our website. There's places to register. I want you to get your poems in by the end of the month so they can be included in the Reach of Song book
I
that
think I
we'll be
have it.
publishing. And so I'm going to give you all my number, or I'll get it to you somehow. I've enjoyed tonight. I'm going to end with dreams. In dreams, pray we hold on to hope and memories of gold. Dawn will sweep these dreams all away, their beauty day can't hold. Like a favorite melody, dreams caress our sleeping heart. Disappointed they don't linger, with kiss of dawn depart. In dreams we never wipe their tears, no, they the ones we cry. In paradise that Christ promised, no tears and no goodbyes. It's not a dream, our Bible hope. We know Christ did not lie. Taught meek will inherit the earth, in paradise won't die. God's will, we prayed, be done on earth. Eden Christ will restore. Revelation promises then, former things be no more. No more death, no more dying, no tears, no more crying. Please trust what John was told to write is true and was not lying. So ladies, thank you very, very much for tonight. I have enjoyed it. And our next open mic will be on February the 15th at the same time.
Okay.
Again with y'all. Enjoyed it all. Good night, ladies.
Good
Thank
Good
night.
night. Thank you.
Bye.
Anybody want to say one last thing before you go?
This was great.
Yeah,
Yes,
thank you.
I-
Good night.